Okay, today we're going to look at a Jones & Shipman. This is a tool room type grinder, a universal grinder, currently wired for 220 volts, 3-phase. Here you see we have it set up with the ID attachment. Let me start our work drive here. There's a 6-door chuck on here. We start up the grinding spindle. And you can do internal grinding. You can feed in by hand. You can feed in with a little pulse thing here if you wanted to. You can have an automatic feed. I have the tailstock removed right now so that you can have this ID attachment. Normally you take the one off when you're using the other. So this is how it goes. You have your table speed here. You have your table on and off. You have your feed on and off, and that's the ID grinding cycle. We're going to stop the video now. We're going to go and set the machine back up in the external grinding mode and go over a few more features. Thank you. All right, so here we have the Jones & Shipman now set up for the external grinding. We have the grinding wheel facing us, and the ID spindle is now in the back. So again, we can start our table going here, and we can slow that down or speed it up. And also we could start up the work head. Now this work head can be used either live or dead. And what I mean by that is either you have the spindle rotating in case you have a chuck on there, or a faceplate, or a collet, or if you're going to be doing grinding between two centers, generally you like to lock the spindle and just have this driver face here rotating. So it can be set up either way. It also can be swiveled at this point here, so which makes this a universal grinder. Besides the fact that it's ID/OD, this also has a swivel, a double swivel, meaning that right now the wheel is coming in at 90 degrees. You can change the base, you can change the angle that the wheel moves in to a 30-degree angle or whatever in between that you want. If you wanted to grind it like an angle head. Also, you have a regular swivel at the top here that I used when I spun it around for the ID attachment. But below that, at the base of the machine, you'll see in the photographs is another plate where you can actually move the entire slide, the ways and all. That's very unique for Jones & Shipman, and possibly a Brown & Sharp might be the only other machine tool that I could think of that has that. So here you have your dresser, here you have your tailstock. This is a nice substantial, it's a heavy duty, pretty beefy machine, easy to set up. Let's start up the grinding wheel. There's your grinding wheel. So let's lower the table speed. Now if we flip this thing down, we're going to start to feed at each reversal. Okay, speed up the table a little bit. Now the amount that this feeds, you adjust on this knob on the side. You can make that a smaller feed or a larger feed. You also have a little hand thing here that you can advance the wheel manually. In the center here, you've got a pull-out thing that gives you a different ratio, so you can move the wheel backwards or forwards quicker. And then you have a fine feed on your dial here that you pull out, and you can move the actual dial behind it that carries the stop. It also has this federal gauge up here. They used to call these an Arnold gauge. You can clamp this around your workpiece as it's grinding, and you follow the dial indicator down to whatever you set it up on your master part. In other words, you have a part that's ground to the right size, and you can come down as you're grinding just to check with this thing. It's like a built-in gauge just to check the part size. Or you can actually grind your part watching this needle here come down to what you've set at 0. It's a pretty neat thing. Electronic ones are available also. Marpos, gauge control gauge, and Movomatic. But this is pretty neat if you wanted to use it. It's only good for a certain diameter workpiece, and you'd have to get a different head for it. But it's pretty cool. Over here you've got your swivel table adjustment. Down below here is your hydraulic units built into the base of the machine. Over here you can get at your controls for your bleeding the cylinder on the table, and also your ways, lubrication for the ways. Over here we have a coolant system which consists of a paper band system that when the paper gets clogged up with grinding grit, it'll advance the paper automatically till you have a clean spot, and you have clean paper. I'm going to just shut some of these things off right now. So the Jones & Shipman has its own special bore in the spindle here. You see this? Well, let's say we wanted to put a chuck on there. I just happen to have a chuck here for this. You see the chuck has a special taper on it. Everything that goes in here has to have that taper. And there's a little thing that has to drop in like that. Now from back here, you have a drawbar, a left-handed thread drawbar that we would use now to lock this in here. Okay? I'm going to take this out, put it back. Machine also has a hardage 5C collet, a nose for it. You can put a 5C collet in here and tighten it up with just this ring, and also put some hardage type tooling, maybe a different type of chuck. It has that hardage nose piece on here, so that's pretty good. We also have a faceplate that goes on there. Oop. A faceplate that goes in here and gets locked in from the back with the drawbar. So you got some accessories here. We also have some steady rests, and we have two 2-point steady rests and one 3-point steady rest. We also have 2 different grinding spindles for the internal grinder. All right, we're going to line this all up and make a nice pretty photograph for you, but you've got basically a high-speed internal grinding spindle that's maybe 20,000-30,000 RPMs, and you have another one that's possibly 8,000, 9,000, 10,000 RPM. So they both come with the machine. You've got automatic lubrication system here. You've got fine feed for your longitudinal table that you might want to use sometimes going up against the shoulder. Again, this is a tool room machine. This is made to set up and do you know, small jobs, complicated jobs, but not real production. You could certainly do production on it if you wanted to. It's very versatile. So there you have it. This is the Jones & Shipman 1300 Universal IDOD Cylindrical Grinder. Original factory paint, and all the other specifications will be listed on our website. Thank you very much.